Today we will learn the atomic models. The various scientists has explained the different models of atom in the 18th century. Out of these all, first of all, J.J. Thomson in 1898, at the end of the 18th century, first of all he proposed that an atom possesses spherical shape in which the positive charge is spread randomly or it is uniformly distributed and the electrons are embedded into it in such a manner as to give the most stable electrostatic arrangement. Means electrons are embedded in the sphere of the protons. Many scientists give it plum pudding model or even raisin model or watermelon model. Like in watermelon, the seeds represent the electron and the radius mass, that is the uniformly distributed, that is the proton. So this model was able to explain the electrical neutrality of the atom. It shows that number of electrons and protons are equal. So this is the important feature, that mass of an atom is assumed to be uniformly distributed over the atom. But this model was not able to explain the overall neutrality of the atom, but was not consistent with the results of the work of the other scientists. So Thomson was awarded Nobel Prize for Physics in 1906 for his theoretical and experimental investigations on the conduction of electricity by gases. But this model was failed because it did not verify the work of the other scientists. The next model was given by Rutherford because Thomson was not able to explain the structure of the atom. His result was not justified by the work of the other scientists. So Rutherford did the experiment on the gold foil and he bombarded the alpha particles on the gold foil. This experiment is also known as alpha scattering experiment. So what he did, he bombarded the alpha particles on a very thin gold foil. So a stream of high energy alpha particles. What are alpha particles? They are helium ions, doubly charged helium ions. They are positively charged. So a source of helium ions was taken from a radioactive source and he took a very thin gold foil. This is the gold foil. Its thickness is very small, that is less than 100 nanometer. The thin gold foil had a circular fluorescent zinc sulfide screen, that is a photographic plate. This screen is, so whenever alpha particles strike on this, they produces a spark at that point, flash of light on that point. So this experiment, the result of this experiment was quite unexpected, because earlier in Thomson it said that mass of the atom is uniformly distributed. But when alpha particles bombarded on the gold foil, they had enough energy to pass directly through such a uniform distribution of mass, and it was expected that the particles would slow down and change the direction only by a small angles as they passed through the foil. So let's see what are the observations of this experiment. The first observation was most of the alpha particles passed through the gold foil undeflected. That means when he bombarded, this is the source of alpha particles, here the lead plate, here gold foil, and this is the screen, fluorescent screen. So what he observed, that most of the rays without any hindrance, they passed through the gold foil. Second, what he observed, that some fraction of the alpha particles was deflected by small angles. Some were deflected, but they made some angles, like most of these went straight, but some were deflected with some angles. So deflection was there, but it is only for very few. And very few alpha particles, around 1 in 20,000, that was the approx ratio, they were bounced back. They were bounced back in the sense they deflected back with the 180 degree. So on these three observations, most of the rays went straight without any hindrance, some were deflected, and 1 out of 20,000, we can say very few, were bounced back. So what he observed, what on these observations, what was the conclusion made regarding the structure of the atom? That most of the space of the atom is empty. Most part of the atom is empty or hollow, and that's why when alpha particles are passing through the gold foils, they were passed without any hindrance, without any deflections. A few positively charged alpha particles, alpha particles are helium ions, they are positively charged, and as few were deflected here, as we have seen here, the deflection must be due to enormous repulsive force, showing that the positive charge of the atom is not spread throughout the atom. At what Thomson has told, the positive charge has to be concentrated in a very small volume that repelled and deflected the positively charged alpha particles. Means the mass of the atom is concentrated in a very small area. In that, entire mass of the atom is concentrated, which were called a nucleus later on. So when these alpha particles strike to this small area, then they will bounce back because of its high positive charge. And very few were deflected by some angles, because when some of the rays were passing very close to this nucleus, then due to repulsions they may get deflected. So calculations by Rutherford showed that the volume occupied by the nucleus is negligibly small as compared to total volume of the atom. This you can imagine like, if we imagine like a stadium, cricket stadium, football stadium, and in that stadium one small cricket ball is kept. So if cricket ball is the atom, nucleus of the atom, then rest part would be the atom. That means the radius of nucleus is very small. Even total radius of the atom is considered to be 10 raised to power minus 10 meter. It's a very less. While that of nucleus is still less, that is 10 raised to minus 15. That is the radius of nucleus, the radius of the atom. So one can appreciate the difference in the size of realizing that a cricket ball in a stadium. So you can say the nucleus is almost negligible comparing the radius of the atom. So on the basis of above observations and conclusions, Rutherford proposed the nuclear model of an atom. So what were the main points of this Rutherford model? That is that the positive charge and most of the mass of the atom was densely concentrated in a very extremely small region, and that small region was called what? Nucleus. Entire mass is concentrated in a small area. Rutherford called it what? Nucleus. So entire mass of the atom is concentrated in a small area, which were called nucleus. The nucleus is surrounded by electrons. Suppose this is the atom, this is the nucleus. So electrons are surrounding the nucleus, and they were moving in a particular path called orbit or shells. Orbit or shells where electrons revolve. The Rutherford model of atom resembles the solar system, like in solar system where the nucleus plays the role of sun and the electrons that revolving like of the planet, like earth, moon, etc. So it shows the planetary motion model, and electrons and nucleus are held together by electrostatic force of attraction. There is a force of attraction between these two, and because of that they keep on moving. So this was the Rutherford model which discovered the nucleus, because Thomson said that mass is spread throughout the atom, but Rutherford said that no, mass is concentrated only in a very small area, and electrons are revolving around the nucleus just like the planetary motion. Atomic number and atomic mass. Atomic number is the number of protons present in the nucleus of an atom, and in neutral atom, you know, the number of electrons and protons are always equal. So you can say protons and electrons number represent the atomic number, and it is denoted by Z. So you can write Z equals to protons which are equals to electrons in a neutral atom, because in ion the electron would be different. Then atomic mass. Atomic mass is the sum of the nucleons, that is, atomic mass is denoted by capital A, and it is the sum of neutron and protons. That means in the nucleus, you know, neutrons and protons are present. So these two are called nucleons, and sum of these two is called atomic mass. So how to represent an atom? We write subscript and superscript. Suppose X is an element. Here we write the subscript atomic number, and this is superscript mass number. So we can get the number of neutrons from this formula A minus Z. How? Suppose we take the example of potassium 19 and 39, and if it is asked find the number of protons, neutrons, electrons, atomic number, Z number, everything. So obvious that Z number is this 19, because atomic number is written in subscript, and atomic number is equal to protons and electrons, 19 and 19, protons and electrons. Mass number is given 39. Now neutron how to find? Because this is the sum of n plus p, and this is p. So this minus this result into what? Neutron. So we will write 39 minus 19, that is 20, is the number of neutrons. This is called atomic mass. Then come to the isobars and isotopes. Isobars means the atoms of isobars are the atom with same mass number but different atomic number. Atomic number are different but mass number are same. Suppose if you take carbon 6 and 12, or you take isotope 14, and second is nitrogen 7 and it is what, 14. So here atomic masses are same but atomic numbers are different, so they are called isobars. So in isobars what you will write, that different atom so isobars, different atom having same mass number, they are called isobars. Then come to the isotopes. Isotopes are different atoms of the same element having same atomic number but different mass numbers. Suppose I write hydrogen. These are the different atom of hydrogen. Mass number 1, 2, 3. These are having same atomic number, hydrogen 1, 1, 1, but mass number 1, 2 and 3. So these isotopes, this is called protium, this is deuterium, and this is tritium. H, D and T symbol. So here you can say they are different in their mass number, and mass number is different due to number of neutrons. Here if I say neutron is 0, here neutron is 1, here neutron is 2. So 0, 1, 2. Next is isotons. Isotons means the different species having same number of neutrons. In isotons, neutron numbers are same, like carbon 14 and nitrogen 15. In this 14 minus 6, it has 14 minus 6, that is 8 neutron, and 15 minus 7, 8 neutrons. So these are called isotons. So you need to study atomic number, atomic mass, isobars, isotopes and isotons. Now see the drawbacks of Rutherford model. Why Rutherford model failed? See, according to Rutherford, that mass of the atom is concentrated in the nucleus and electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Now you know mass is due to protons and neutrons, which protons carry positive charge, electrons carry negatively charged, and there is a electrostatic attraction between these two. So when any charged particles revolve, whenever any charged particles revolve, there is a acceleration, and when classical mechanics is applied to the, like it's a solar system model, what is said that according to the this model, that just like in the Earth or Moon or other planet are revolving around the Sun due to gravitational attractions, same as here the electrons are attracted by the nucleus, and like in gravitational pull, what is the value of that gravitational pull? That we can write G m1 m2 upon r square. That is the force exerted by the gravitational force. So here this is the constant, m1 m2 is the masses of the two objects, and r square, r is the distance between those bodies. So when this solar system and nuclear model were related and compare, that electron should move around the nucleus in well defined orbits, and the Coulomb force, what is Coulomb force? K q1 q2 upon r square, where q1 and q2 are what? Charges of these two particles. So So when a body is moving in an orbit, charged particles is moving in an orbit, it undergoes acceleration even if it is moving with a constant speed, because it's a charged particles. So an electron in the nuclear model describing planet-like orbit is under acceleration. So according to electromagnetic theory of Maxwell, charged particles when accelerated should emit electromagnetic radiations. So here electrons should emit radiations, and the energy carried by radiation comes from the electronic motion. The orbit will thus continues to shrink, and the orbit will shrink, and calculation shows that it should take an electron only 10⁻⁻8 second to this much time to spiral into the nucleus. Means within this second it should spiral into the nucleus or fall into the nucleus. But the atom is quite stable, this will not happen. But if we apply the rule according to this Rutherford, the electron should collapse into the nucleus and atom should not be stable. So Rutherford could not explain the stability of the atom. So if the motion of an electron is described on the basis of classical mechanics and electromagnetic theory, we may ask that since the motion of electron in orbit is leading to the instability of the atom, then why not consider electron as a stationary around the nucleus? And if electrons were stationary, then electrostatic attraction between the dense nucleus and electron would pull the electron toward the nucleus and it will collapse. So that again become just like the Thomson's model. So these drawbacks of Rutherford is that it says nothing about distribution of the electron, how electrons are moving around the nucleus, then why according to him that should collapse, but we know that they are stable, they are continuously moving. So he could not explain the stability of the atom.